Hi there survivors. Today's video is especially important. I'm gonna show you how to deal maximum damage to bosses in Undawn. I know that many players are not eager to do this, limiting themselves to just lazy shooting with a minigun. This is a mistake, and you are letting your camp down by playing like this. By following the advice from this video, you can significantly increase your damage against bosses. So the first thing is the right weapon. You should always use a minigun as a heavy weapon, since its damage per second is the highest. If you are not rich, you can use purple or even blue one. Anyway, make sure your focused mentality and EM charge talents are maxed out. The remaining focused talents do not need to be activated, because they will not increase the damage you deal. The best main weapon for dealing damage to bosses in my opinion, is the M249 light machine gun, and there are several reasons for this. As I have already said in other videos, light machine gun is inferior in damage per second to Origin 12 shotgun, and theoretically inferior to Alpha assault rifle. However, you need to understand that not every boss can be within a radius of 7 meters from the player. For example, shooting a helicopter with a shotgun in District 13 mode is unlikely to be comfortable for you. Moreover, during most events, players have access to ammo boxes that appear around the boss. An example of such an event is Giant Aberration. The thing is that replenishing ammo using the ammo box reloads your magazine in 2 seconds, 2 times faster than the standard light machine gun reload. This means you can simply stand next to the box, shoot at the boss, and reload the magazine much faster, dealing more damage per second than the weapon allows under normal conditions. The second is the constant activation of your skills. You must always summon your drone, place auto turret, and also throw corrosive grenade at the boss. I often see many players using automatic flamethrower, but this is a mistake. As you can see from my simple shooting range test, the auto turret deals disproportionately more damage over its duration. This is mainly due to the sweeping firepower talent, which charges your turret, after which it is strengthened for a short time. Make sure that this talent, as well as the crossfire talent, is fully developed in your artillerist. Summoning turrets and drones is important for one more reason: they give you focus points every time they deal damage. Thanks to this, you will charge your focus skill faster, and be able to activate it more often. As you understand, you need to activate your focus skill constantly and without delay, like everything else. If you have high skill strength, you can also use Molotov cocktail instead of corrosive grenade. But don't forget that the boss must always be under the influence of the armor debuff, and if most players use Molotov cocktail, this may cause problems. Third is food. Before fighting the boss, make sure you have the best possible buff from Grilled Fish Feast. Usually, right before the event, someone from the camp management gathers players for a feast, but if you want, you can treat your comrades on your own. As for regular food, you usually need food that increases damage to zombies, since it is more powerful than any other food. If the boss is not a zombie type, such as a helicopter, you should use food for damage or armor piercing. Some players believe that these bosses are of the human type, but my tests a few months ago showed that this is not the case. Perhaps something has changed during this time, but I cannot confirm this yet, so my recommendations in this regard remain the same. Which food and music is better, damage or armor piercing, depends on how much armor piercing your character has. From my previous videos you already know that the higher the level of a mob, the more armor it has, and the amount of its armor grows by about 7 to 8 units for each level. During the battle, the boss is constantly under the influence of a debuff from corrosive grenade, so it would be most logical to use food and music to increase exactly the damage stat. If your armor piercing is very low and is around 200 units, then you should use food and music to increase exactly armor piercing, and this will give a slightly greater effect. Don't worry if you don't understand anything, just watch the video from the tip, you will find all the necessary answers there. Another important thing is the buff from Tactic. This buff only works if the party consists of 4 players. For this reason, in any event where possible, camp players should split into groups of 4, and activate the appropriate tactic to increase damage dealt. As for polishing, I have mentioned it many times in previous videos. Most players try to polish equipment evenly, but this only makes sense if your main class is a healer, and your survivability is a top priority. In any other case, you should focus on polishing main and heavy weapon first, as this will significantly increase your damage output. Also, if your camp is serious about doing maximum damage to the boss, you will need at least one person with a grenade launcher. Thanks to the explosive heat talent, this player will constantly keep the boss under the effect of explosive mark, causing other players to deal much more damage to him. As you understand, this only makes sense if most of the players of your camp are in the same district as the player with the grenade launcher. Therefore, the order of actions should be as follows: first gather large groups for feast, then summon them to the place of the battle with the boss, and after that, break up into groups of 4 players. This requires high coordination and responsibility on the part of the camp management and the players themselves, so in practice, it is rarely possible to do everything on time. That's all for today, and I hope that my tips will help you increase your damage. Of course, you won't receive any additional rewards for this, but if one day you are asked what exactly you did for the camp, you will have an answer. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you found this video interesting, and as always, thank you for watching. Happy hunting survivors, and bye.